Oh, how sweet it is for the Colts. We are back here on the Jack Doyle Podcast talking about a 2-0 football team here in Indianapolis for the first time since 2009. Former Colts tight end, 9-year Colt, 2-time Pro Bowler, the great Jack Doyle's here again. Our third podcast episode on this series. I'm Matt Taylor. Jack, where were you in 2009? Let's give some perspective.
Yeah,
here.
right. I was a huge Colts fan, so that's
right.
fun, right? I was, what I'd been, the fall of 2009, I would have been going into my redshirt freshman year at Western Kentucky. So, yeah, huge Colts fan. I remember that was the Super Bowl year, if I'm right.
It was.
Went to the Super Bowl. I remember watching the game. And,
Yep.
So it's fun for me because I've, having the perspective of being a fan for the Colts, right? Playing for the Colts,
Sure.
and now I'm a fan again. It's a ton of fun, man. And how fun was Sunday?
Oh, it was a blast. I got to ask you, how did you experience and what was your moment? Was it me watching on TV? Sound down, radio up, I hope. But,
always got to have the radio up, man. You got to time it up right with the TV.
Kids are fist bumping. What happened?
Oh yeah, kids were they were heartbroken for a second, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, there's a flag, right? And they got another chance, and we were going nuts, man. It's so much fun, and to watch the game,
No doubt,
through a kid's perspective is even more enjoyable, and seeing their, the emotional roller coaster that they go through in a game, and watching it, then they're going outside playing, then they're coming back inside and watching it. It's a ton of fun.
No question about it. So we got a lot to get into. We're going to break it all down through the prism of the former player here, Jack Doyle. Colts are 2-0. Wild win over the Denver Broncos. We'll talk about Spencer Schrader's heroics. We'll talk about why this offense is just simply on fire right now. Over 800 yards of offense through the first two games of the season. We're going to talk about Daniel Jones and his continued poise and comfort within this offense. And we'll dive into how wealthy of an offense it is for the Colts with all these playmakers, the three receivers, running back Jonathan Taylor over 200 yards from scrimmage, Tyler Warren doing his thing. So it's just a very pleasant start to the season here, like we said. And what it means to dork out a little bit, as you know, Jack. I mean, I'm not sure if you were aware of these types of things throughout the course of your playing days, but, the Colts are 2-0, like we said, first time in a long time. But since the NFL expanded the playoffs a couple years ago, 78% of the teams that start 2-0 go on to make the playoffs. So it's not nothing here. I mean, this is a huge deal for Indianapolis in terms of the analytics. 2 games in, you've had dominance. You've also had games that have featured heartbreak, at least for a little bit, a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
You've had elation, frustration, but just everything right now is working for the Colts on a perfect start to the year. Take me through the emotions as a player, right? If you're on that sideline and Spencer Schrader's initial 60-yard field goal to try to win the game comes up short, like what's going through your mind there? And then you see the penalty on the field, like that's a lot of stuff to compute and compartmentalize in a short amount of time, especially if you're part of that field goal protection unit.
Yeah, it's a lot to process, like you said, Matt. And I, the flag came out pretty quick. So if I was on the field goal unit, I think those guys probably sensed it or heard someone say, hey, flag, pretty quickly.
Right.
So it's probably like, oh, crap, when they saw the ball in the air, but then they heard flag right away. So it's just the NFL, man. That is the football game, right? It's the ride, and you as a player, you really try to stay even keel, right? All the way through the end. But as a fan, you can ride that emotional roller coaster, right? And that was a perfect definition of it right there. You get the low of, man, that's it. Then you see the flag, and hey, we get another shot. Spencer knocks it right down the middle, man. That was so much fun.
I mean, it's a tough thing to regroup. I mean, you got the fans, the place is going bonkers. I mean, that's a hard thing to kind of regroup. It's like, we have to do this again, and it's for all the marbles this time, barring a penalty again on Denver. But that's a tough thing. I mean, you've been there where you're running down on a kickoff, and then all of a sudden there's a penalty, then you have to run back and regroup. I mean, that's a hard thing to do for people that don't understand, just to, pull yourself back within the framework of trying to do that again in that moment.
Yeah, you got to have some mental toughness, and Spencer obviously has. I don't envy the job of a kicker, right?
Yeah.
and that's tough. You're out there for a couple plays and a lot's riding on it. But for him to be able to regroup, refocus, same for Luke, the snapper, and Rigo, the holder, and then the whole protection group to get back in that mode. For a second they thought the game was over, but hey, we got another play. Let's lock in and they executed perfectly.
A lot's been made, especially from the Denver perspective of this game. A lot's been made of leverage. What for those that don't know, what is leverage? Why were they penalized in that situation?
Yeah, the leverage, even when I was playing, I feel like the leverage rule had changed a bunch, but it's to protect the players, right? And you can't push off and propel yourself up in the air to try and block a kick. And because, you think of the guard is down in a stance and they got their head down,
Mm-hmm.
they're not protected, right? They're trying to stay low. So to push off a guy and then use him to propel yourself up in the air and try and block
it. Trampoline, right?
Yeah, it's a penalty, and everyone knows that, right? I mean, it was a penalty, and I think even the Broncos have.
Yeah, Sean Payton said, we were flagged for it, rightfully so.
Right, and there's ways around it, and special team coaches get really creative in how they do it, because I think if if they were to push down on a player, and then someone else comes behind and tries to jump, I believe that's legal. So there's ways around it, but yeah, it's a way to protect the players, as the NFL continues to do, and it's it was the right call, and so Colts took advantage of the opportunity.
But some have argued, I think you and I kind of talked about this off the air, why even, with it being a low percentage kick like that from Spencer Schrader, I mean, he's got the leg for it, there's no doubt about it, but in that situation, it's a 60-yard field goal versus a 45-yard field goal, which it ended up being. Some have argued, again, from the Denver perspective, why even try to do that, right, in that situation?
Yeah, it honestly, I don't know if the player went rogue, trying to do too much. And as a player, you can get caught up in that, right? And you got to just do your role, do your job, right? And not get caught up in, hey, I'm going to play hero ball and try and make a play and win the game for our team. And just play what's called and trust your coaches. And again, I don't know what was called or what he was being coached to do. And maybe that was their, the last chance field goal. This is what we're going to run and kind of try and get away with it and see if we can, get a block. But you got to just stay in your role. And what a, that's a tough loss for Denver, man. You think you have it and then to get it ripped away from you like that. But again, it was the right call and the Colts took advantage of it.
Yeah, it's a tough loss for Denver, because the Colts are good.
Yes.
The Colts are going to be good this year, and they're already starting off very well. But I just thought that game was a signature game. We talked about it last week on the podcast. It was a big game. Even though it was week 2, it's an AFC game. It's a game that I think that both teams want to have on their side of the ledger at the end of the season because of what it could mean. It could be two teams fighting for a wild card spot potentially, and that head-to-head tiebreaker and plus an AFC win over the other one is just huge. So with that in mind, take me inside the locker room. After a game like this, that was pretty close to a signature win. It's a good team in Denver. It's a good win for the Colts because it's against a marquee coach. It's against a good quarterback. Obviously, a fantastic defense. Like when you're 2-0 and one of your wins is as dominant as it was against Miami, and the other one is pretty impressive against a team like Denver, how good are you feeling right now? The signature types of victories the Colts have gotten so far this year.
Yeah, it just it builds so much confidence in the team. Like you said, week 1, kind of a blowout win. That's a blowout win in the NFL, right? To win 33-8, that's a blowout, right? And then to come back and show you can win a close game, that's like, man, we can do anything, right? Offense is going to have the defense's back. Defense is going to have the offense's back, and that builds connection as a team, player to player, offensive player to defensive player, trust in the coaches. It just builds so much. And, I just can't, say it enough how big of a win that was for week 2. The AFC, it's going to come down to these tiebreakers, and there's a lot of good teams, a lot of good quarterbacks. So, I think the players understood it, and I think you could see it in the way they celebrated after the game.
When you watch this team so far this year, even from afar, guys like us, but you've been in these situations. You've been in the huddle and in the locker room, grinding day to day, so you sort of just know it when you see it. And that's what I'm talking about, the it factor for this team. It seems like this team has it. You don't know what it is. You just sort of know it when you see it. And I've been doing this now for, almost 20 years. And I've seen a lot of football. I've been in a lot of locker rooms. And when you walk into a locker room, sometimes you come away saying this team could probably be a little bit more connected than it is. And then there's other times where you go into this locker room, it's like these guys like each other. Do you notice the it factor, and what does the it factor boil down to, if you don't mind talking about that?
Yeah, no, I do notice it, and like you said, Matt, I've been in locker rooms where the it factor's there and where the it factor's not, right? And you feel it. It's hard to describe in words, right? It's just something you kind of feel.
Yeah.
You feel it in your belly. I always say that. And these guys just look so connected, man. They look like they like each other. I know they did offense went out and went bowling last week, right? And I know they're doing things together because they enjoy being around each other, right? Not just, this isn't, hey, we're going to work and we're just going to do this. We're going to spend time outside that, spend time outside the building, build those connections. It just, maybe it makes you block a little bit extra, right? When you like your guy, you like the guy you're blocking for, the guy you're next to.
It matters.
It does matter, man. It really does. And I think, Chris has done such a great job of putting this group together, and then the guys have done a great job. And connecting through training camp. And I think training camp was hard. I really do. And I think these guys went through a lot of different situations, and Shane pushed them.
Yeah.
And that builds connection too. And it's just fun to see, man. And what a great start. And it's really exciting to see where this is going to go.
How much does the it factor come from the quarterback? Fair or unfair?
Yeah, it does. I mean, fair or unfair, I don't know. But that's the NFL, right? It's, quarterback is probably the hardest position to play in sports. There's a lot on you. You get blamed when probably you don't need to get blamed, and you get credit when you probably don't deserve the credit, right? But it is so important to have a leader in that position, and a guy who is connecting not just with the receivers or not just with the O-line, but is connecting with the defensive players, is connecting with the special teams guys. He has to connect with the whole team. It's a role that is built for very few. And I think Daniel has he's taken that role on, and he's built those connections with the players, and like I said, doing stuff outside the building. And you see the way the guys care for him, and the way they're playing hard for him, and it just gives you a little extra.
Is that the one thing that maybe fans don't understand, is that Daniel Jones's life, like if you were to have a pie chart of Daniel Jones's roles in life, outside of football, husband and mentor and friend, but he's also the quarterback of this team. I mean, how much of his pie chart is dedicated to playing good football, putting the Colts into a great spot offensively when he's physically on the field, but also just sort of overseeing the culture and the atmosphere of the locker room? That's a huge responsibility, right?
It is a huge, and every good team I've been on, we've had a quarterback that does that, right? And like I said, it's just the connections with the guys and connecting with everybody. And like you said, the quarterback has so much on their plate, and probably the last thing they want to do, they want to stay in their routine, right? Like, hey, let's go, bowling as a team on a third.
Worry about how the backup defensive tackles do.
But that's your role, man. And because football is the ultimate team game, and you truly need everybody, and you don't know when you'll need somebody. And I think, from talking to players who, currently on the team, Daniel has done such a great job of that, and it's going to continue to propel this team forward.
Well, we're going to talk more about Daniel Jones specifically coming up on the podcast, but I want to talk about just how well this offense is performing right now. I mean, in the first 2 games of the season, the Colts became the first team in NFL history to score points on their first 10 possessions of a year. That had never been done before. But just listen to these numbers, Jack. Through 2 games, the Colts have racked up 891 yards of offense. That's the most for a Colts team through 2 games of a season since 2001. They've scored 62 points. They also racked up 473 yards against Denver, which was thought to be, it still is, one of the best defenses in the NFL with all the firepower they have on that side of the ball. Give me the top 2 or 3 reasons why this offense is firing on all cylinders right now.
There's so many weapons. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. There's so many guys to get the ball to. I think Josh Downs kind of got us going early, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't have a ton of catches in week 1, but here he comes in week 2, and he hits an explosive play on the second play of the game. And there's just, and Daniel's delivering the ball accurately, and they're just being successful on first down, very efficient on first down, and that's huge, man. Like you said, we still haven't punted.
I forgot to mention that. No turnovers and no punts.
What do we? This is crazy,
this is
man.
like flag football.
This is crazy. This is crazy. But it's just the efficiency on first down, and like we said, there's been no punts, so there's been no 3 and outs. So we're staying in rhythm. We're sustaining drives. Not only does that fuel the offense and gets the offense in rhythm, but the defense feeds off that, right? They feed off one side feeds off each other. When one's playing well, the defense is going to feed off that, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we want to be a part of this too, man. We're not going to be left out. So I keep coming back to the efficiency on first down and staying in third and manageable. There hasn't been, I don't think there's been a third and long that we've really had to convert yet, right? So there's, if you're staying, you're having success on early downs,
right.
it's going to be really hard to beat this team with all the different weapons and people we can get the ball to.
In this game against Denver, one of the things I was so impressed by, among the many things, was the Colts. I mean, when you have a player in the back end with Denver and Pat Surtain, defensive player of the year,
Yeah.
and shutdown corner, and I think in 2024 led the league in fewest yards allowed and passer rating against, and all of these things. It would have been really easy for the Colts and Shane Steichen to say, all right, number 2 is over there, so we're going over here.
Right.
You know what I mean? They didn't do that. They attacked him several times, and they did it in high leverage situations, namely the Alec Pierce catch on a third down, the last drive of the game that kind of got the Colts into field goal range there to set up Spencer Schrader. It's really impressive to me that not only are the Colts being so diverse, they had 4 players over 50 yards receiving in this game, but they're winning their physical one-on-one matchups, getting leverage, getting separation against the game's best. And that's what's most encouraging for me within this offense going forward.
Yeah, and like you said, Pierce had the huge one on the last drive on the 3rd and 6, and everyone kind of took their turn. Pitt had some catches on him. Tyler had a huge third down. I think it was 3rd and 2, and we were kind of backed up at that moment, and ran a little out corner route, whatever you want to call it, on Surtain, and kind of bodied him, made a catch. And like you said, we didn't shy away from him. And like you said, defensive player of the year last year. I mean, he's an unbelievable player. But it comes with guys having confidence in themselves, giving Daniel a place to put the ball, and then an accurate throw, right? I mean, all those ones that we're talking about, the ball had to be perfect. Like, it wasn't like he had bad coverage on the guys, right? Daniel is delivering a very accurate throw, and guys are making the play.
So when you go 2 straight games with no turnovers, especially at the beginning of the year when you're still kind of figuring things out with a new quarterback, the new quarterback figuring out skill players and vice versa, I mean, that's a hard thing to do, to be this good and this sharp this early in the season. What does that tell you about the Colts and their execution and their attention to detail? I mean, as a former guy that's lived this, how impressed are you with that part of this offense to be that precise this early in the season?
Yeah, it's so impressive because it shows to me that in training camp, the attention to detail was there, and that these guys were practicing with a purpose. And if you don't practice with a purpose, it shows up early in the season, and you're kind of behind the 8 ball, right? But they practiced with a purpose, and I think Shane did a great job this camp of putting these guys in so many different situations. And it was a lot of scrimmaging and doing a lot of different stuff that was kind of different for some of the veterans that have been
here
for a while.
But I like that, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, instead of just going, I mean, again,
No.
I don't want to, downplay anything anybody else does or what we've done in the past, but in order to get better at playing football, why not play football? More football. Like, all due respect to, inside run and individual drills. We know what we're doing there, right?
Yeah, no more 9-on-7. Let's just play football, right? I couldn't agree more, Matt. And I think people have this misnomer, too, that you can't get better in the NFL. And that's always kind of bothered me, right? Like, if you can. Like, you need to practice with a purpose, and you will get better in the NFL. I mean, I know I got a lot better in the NFL, not to hype, but because I practiced with a purpose. I did, and I tried to get better. And I think Shane, again, he put these guys in such, real football situations that it's showing up early in the season that we're prepared, we're taking care of the football, like you said, and having, positive plays on first down. And I don't know if Rigo's going to work this year. I think Rigo, let's just keep working on those holds.
Yeah, I said the other day he's like on a milk carton.
Yeah, where's Rigo? My guy Rigo, where are you? But he's still out there. I mean, Rigo's the master holder, so he's still working. So the Colts still got to pay him, but but yeah, I'm sure he's just fine with
he's still holding on field goals.
Yeah, right? Holding on field goals, right? He's still holding, so we still got to pay him. And he's still practicing. I'm sure he's kicking into the net a couple times on third downs. But it's like, don't worry, Rigo, we're gonna get it. Yep. No big deal. We're gonna get this 3rd and 4. Yeah.
He's still being professional. He's ready to go in case they need to close her in the 9th inning there. All right, let's talk about Tyler Warren. Can we get our Jack Doyle weekly Tyler Warren update here. Just continues to ball out, man. 79 yards receiving in week 2. Here are the numbers. He's got the 4th most receiving yards for a tight end in NFL history over his first 2 games. 11 catches in his first 2 games. The numbers are stacking up here, man. These are Brock Bowers-esque type of production here. So what did Tyler Warren do to get Jack Doyle out of his chair in week 2?
We already mentioned the 3rd down catch on Surtain. That's a rookie on last year's Defensive Player of the Year.
Like it.
Do we hear this?
Yeah.
And Surtain's not this. I know he's a corner, and it's like tight end on corner, but he's not a small corner.
No.
This is a big physical dude.
He shut down tight ends a lot last year too.
That's just the confidence and his ability, and then the route, and then again Daniel, like we said, putting the ball perfectly. But Tyler did such a good job in the run game. I always come back to the run game, and he's playing physical. And we ran a lot of the gap run schemes early, and he was coming in down there and smacking linebackers and being really physical in the run game, and then still producing in the pass game. And not a lot of guys can do that. What were some of my favorite? The other favorite one, when he lined up at fullback and ran the corner route from the corner route on the opposite side. That's the mastermind of Shane right there, right? I don't think I've ever seen that. A fullback on the opposite side of the ball, coming across the ball.
Like Penn State.
And running a corner route. And it's a huge play. And it's so fun to see him keep the Colts are, again, the bag's going to continue to expand and putting him in different situations. He got the handoff. We didn't get it. We ran the little crossbuck action with Jonathan Taylor there, and but still, it's so fun to see, how much that's going to continue to grow, and his role is going to grow, and he just keeps producing whenever they put him in those situations.
Yeah, this goes back to the it factor that we talked about that this team seems to have so far. Tyler Warren obviously, clearly, is a special player, and he's only going to get better, which is really exciting to think about. But there's a lot of good tight ends, and I said this all off season last year. The tight end room took a lot of flack. They dealt with some BS in the offseason with, everybody highlighting the production that they did not produce last year. 39 catches for whatever it was, lowest amount of tight end production from a group, Colts tight end group since 1994, all of this stuff. I think a lot of things went into that. But my point is there's some really good guys in that tight end room, both character-wise and football player-wise as well. But Tyler Warren comes in here, and he's the new guy. And some of these guys that you know really well, guys like Mo Alley Cox and Will Mallory and Drew Ogletree, they're kind of having to cede some things to Tyler and to let him shine and to let him do all the things that he can do within this offense. My question is what is the balance there? How hard is that for some of these veterans to do, to let Tyler do his things for the betterment of the football team?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because it can be a challenge, right? You mentioned Mo's a competitor, right? Mo wants to produce.
But he also wants to win badly.
But he also wants to win, right?
Yeah.
And I think what has been so great and why it has worked and why they love Tyler and the person and the way, it all comes back to, how the new guy carries himself, right? If he's coming in here arrogant and not a team guy and, me, give me the ball, all these different things. But that's not Tyler at all, right? Tyler's, keeps to himself, quiet, and just works his butt off and has earned the respect of, I'm talking to Mo, talking to Drew, and has earned the respect from those guys. And he's just, it's just such a fun dynamic when the whole group, is rallying around each other. And when you have a tight-knit group like I know they have in that tight end room, and Tom Manning, the tight end coach, is doing a great job of keeping those guys all connected and putting them in positions to do what they do well, right? Let's not ask someone to do something that maybe they don't do well, right? If we can ask everybody to do what they do well, we're going to produce as a tight end room, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, no question about it. Daniel Jones has found one of his favorite targets there, and Tyler Warren to the tune of 11 catches through the first 2 games of the season. Let's go back to Daniel Jones. He was, again, sensational. Over 300 yards, became the first quarterback to lead the Colts to a 2-0 start since Peyton Manning. Orchestrated his 10th fourth quarter comeback the other day. Over 70% completion percentage for the season. His passer rating is just phenomenal, 111. And the biggest one for me, he's averaging over 9 yards per attempt. That was always the book on Daniel Jones is, well, he's kind of a dink and dunk quarterback, high completion percentage. He's going to take what the defense gives him. He's not going to push the ball down the field. The Colts have, I think 5 plays over 25 yards through the air in the first 2 games of the season. It is just, it's so much fun to watch him have this, at least so far, career resurgence. And that's what the Colts were all about when they wanted to bring in Daniel Jones to possibly have him compete for this opportunity. So in what ways is Daniel Jones so far exceeding your expectations here?
Man, he's playing so well. I mean, it's just like, I don't think anybody expected him to play this well coming in. Yeah. And like you said, the book on him coming in was the dink and dunk. But you see him taking the shots, right? He hit Pierce on a go route, this week, and still taking a shot to AD that we barely missed. And
even when you don't get those plays, they're so important to show.
It's huge, because we have weapons, right? And I think that's what Daniel has doing such a great job is using everybody, right? I mean, obviously, like he's finding a connection with Warren and with Pitt, but Pierce is still doing a lot of stuff, and then we still have Downs. I mean, and then AD. There's so throw the ball to JT too. Like there's so I keep going. There's so many weapons.
And this is the stuff he never had in New York.
No, he didn't have that. And then Shane calling the plays, and again, the sign of a good coach is putting players in position to do things they do well. And I think that's what Shane does such a great job of. He gets the most out of your potential because he puts you in positions to do what you do well. And that's what we're seeing from Daniel. He's getting us in the right plays, right? And you can see the checks at the line of scrimmage to even just switching a run play from one side to the other,
no doubt,
is huge because then we get 4 yards instead of a negative play, and we're 2nd and 6, not 2nd and 10. Like little things that us watching from the outside have no idea is going on, but you can see him doing things at the line of scrimmage to get them in the right play are huge, man. And that's the efficiency, and that's what we're seeing from the offense.
This Denver game was so impressive to me, his pocket awareness.
Yeah.
How many times were Benito Jones and Jonathan Cooper sort of barreling down on him? The pocket is collapsing. He steps up either in the middle or shuffles a little bit to his right or steps up a little bit, moves to his left just to get that extra half second to get the ball out. I mean, that is savviness right there. That is 7 years in the NFL. How impressed were you with his pocket awareness in this game against the Broncos?
Yeah, like you said, the Broncos were trying to bring pressure, right, to kind of throw them off.
They didn't blitz the week before.
No,
they came a lot against Indianapolis.
They wanted to see how he would handle it. And on the second play of the game, brought pressure. He scrambled, not scrambles, but just kind of like under control, backs to his left a little bit and throws a strike right to Josh Downs.
Yeah.
It's like, to do that on the second play of the game when you're still kind of getting the feel, getting in rhythm, it's just so impressive, and it shows the confidence that he's playing with right now and the trust he has in his guys.
You've been around a lot of quarterbacks. Can quarterbacks grow and evolve in pocket awareness, or is that something that you just have?
Yeah, I think you have to have it a little bit. But like I said earlier, you can get better in the NFL if you practice with a purpose. You really can, and putting yourself in real time. And pocket awareness is probably tough because, to practice because, you get close to a quarterback and when you're practicing against somebody, you're not allowed to touch them or come near them. But he's got to be doing drills to get better with it. And then to have the pocket awareness and remain calm and deliver a strike is what Daniel's doing so far. And it's been great. And it's a credit to the O linemen too, who are straining. Yeah. They're giving that little bit of extra. You can see it. Jonathan Taylor has been so good at picking up blitzes and bringing linebackers and just giving him an extra second. And Daniel has the trust in them that, hey, I got an extra second here. Let me just back to my left or go a little bit to the right and deliver an accurate throw.
To your point on Jonathan Taylor, just a little bit of a tangent. That was always kind of the book on Taylor, the biggest criticism on Jonathan Taylor. He's not a good run blocking or a blitz pickup running back. I mean, he's showing that he can do that this year.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan's a stud. I think a lot of that comes from, I think sometimes the running back is not on the same page as the O-line, and having a middle ground or a mediator, I guess, and Daniel Jones to kind of make sure we're all on the same page.
It matters. Yeah.
It matters a lot. Trust me, I've been back there. There was times when we had some injuries at running back, and I'd be the third down guy back there trying to pick it up. And having Andrew next to me be like, hey, Jack, it's 57. Down, say go. I'm like, all right, good. I can do that. Like, you think I'm figuring it all out from, Ryan Kelly up there saying all kinds of crazy stuff, can't hear. I'm like, what is it? 57. Down, say go. That's literally, that's what it is. Oh, my gosh. That's what it is. And
Jack, block that guy.
Yeah, block that guy. 57. Thank you, say go. But that's what Jonathan's probably getting from Daniel. Again, I'm assuming Daniel's, you can tell how much he's with it, and he wants to be protected, right? So he wants to make sure the running back knows where he's going. But yeah, Jonathan, he multiple times in this game, did he come up there and stonewall guy, and it just – and he's getting 165 yards on the ground.
Yeah, not bad.
And whatever he got in the 50, and what did he get in the receiving too? Jonathan's just the man.
I love those stories, man. It makes me feel better, right? It makes me feel better that sometimes you guys that are so good at what you do, that are getting paid the big bucks, are just playing backyard football sometimes,
Literally. It turns into that a lot. And again, having a guy next to you when you're back there, because it's a different feeling when you're up at tight end.
Makes you feel like you're at recess.
Yeah. I can talk to the tackle, be like, hey, where are we going? What's going? You're gonna kind of relay it down, but you're back there, you're kind of by yourself. Yeah. Where are we going?
What do I do?
Yeah. Who do I block? Where's the protection going? And hey, 57, say go.
Those are the stories, man.
Yeah.
Hey, big picture on Daniel Jones. Because, you're Mr. Indy. You're a man about town, a socialite, as we all know, Jack Doyle, right? Heavy influencer on Instagram. One of the things I want to talk about, there was so much, let's be honest, right? 2 weeks or so before the regular season, the Colts name Daniel Jones starting quarterback. Obviously, there was a lot of commotion and riff, within the fan base on social media. And I get it, right? Anthony Richardson is a top 5 draft pick, right? It comes with the territory. But now that we're 2 weeks into the season, and again, sample size wise, the Colts are they've been very validated in this decision to go with Daniel Jones. From what you're seeing and reading and the people that you're talking to, Jack, are you starting to see some of the critics quiet down and come around? And I think it's important with all that this franchise has been through, right? Missing the playoffs 4 straight years. I think it's important that, we talk about the it factor. I think it's fun to see slowly some of the critics come around and a lot of people starting to back this team and get behind it after 4 years of frustration.
Yeah, winning cures all, right? And that's what, the critics who were, everyone had a, opinion in who should start, right? But, they're not in the building every day and they're not, seeing the work that these guys are putting in, and not to discredit AR in any way, but, you see the people who were, Team AR, now I see them in, I have friends, right, who are giving their, are Colts fans and giving their opinions, and now I see those guys in the group text. They're dropping the Danny Dimes,
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Where were you 4 weeks
exactly.
ago? But that's football, and you see AR on the sideline. He's doing the head tap when Pierce got the the go route and got the flag too, but still made the catch. So this team is bought in and they're connected all together, and so yeah, I'm so happy for Daniel. I don't know Daniel personally. I've never played with him, but to see a guy, come back after, being at one spot and it not going the way he wanted it to go, and then come back here and put the work in, not pout, and just grind through a camp, win a job, and then come out and produce is just, it's a feel-good story, man. And that's what sports are all about, in my opinion, is working through adversity and coming out on the other side.
Yeah, no question about it. Well said right there. So Indianapolis, the fan base, starting to come around big time on what this offense could mean, big picture with Daniel Jones. Obviously, he's going to do it in the passing game, but it's always nice to have a top 5 running back in Jonathan Taylor, like we talked about. Over 200 yards against the Broncos, 5th time in his career. He's gone over 200 yards from scrimmage. We can talk about all these things that he does, and he does so many things well. But he's got 43 carries so far in the first 2 games of the season. And the Colts made a concerted effort to bring in DJ Giddens in the draft, and then they bring in Khalil Herbert in free agency. Well, he's not here anymore just because of a numbers thing. Tyler Goodson's banged up with the elbow. They're riding JT sort of at the beginning of this season, just like they did at the end of last year. And rightfully so, right? He gets better as the game goes on. But I keep trying to talk myself into the idea that taking carries away from Jonathan Taylor in the big picture might be a good thing, Jack. But then he goes out and does what he does, against the Broncos, and it's just like, why would you take the ball away from one of your best players on offense? So, talk that. I'm on the couch right now. You're my psychologist with Jonathan Taylor. Talk me through how the Colts should handle this, because 43 carries in the first 2 games, that's a lot. If you extrapolate that out over the course of 17 games, that's like 400 carries for the season, bro.
Yeah. It's probably too much, right? It's probably too much. And the Colts know that, right? And the staff knows that. And I think maybe part of it, I think they do have a lot of trust in DJ Giddens, and he's a rookie though. Yeah. So maybe they're thinking, we're going to keep him coming up as the season goes on and give him more carries as the season goes on.
Sure.
But yeah, that's too much for Jonathan. And Jonathan would never say that, but even, he's honestly, the carries obviously get added up, but he's also playing too many snaps in my opinion. And if we can get a young guy to step up and help in the pass protection things and just give him more plays off, and it was a close game. There's going to be games like that.
That's my point.
There's going to be games like this, so maybe we're overreacting to it at the same time because, like you said, why take out one of your best players?
If he can do it.
Because the home run threat, right?
And he's for the most part in his career, he holds up after a game like this.
Yeah, he does.
When he runs the ball 25 times.
He's just, man,
we're talking out of both sides of our mouth.
He's something special. So, this is what the coaches are doing, right? They're like, how can we take him out when the the 68-yarder is always it's always in there, right?
No
he's
doubt.
getting 5 yards. He's getting 5 yards, and then boom, there it goes. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I would assume they have a plan, right? That this isn't me and you sitting on the couch just chit chatting. They're actually thinking of this, looking at the numbers, and have a plan for Jonathan through the season. But how do you take the ball out of his hand? I don't know.
Yeah.
I knew I always felt better when he was back there, even as as a player blocking for him. It was
you just knew it was possible.
You knew that explosive run was always in there, and he's just such a special person and player. He's one of my favorite guys I've ever blocked for. That's for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, let's talk about cleanup stuff here. Going into week number 3 against the Tennessee Titans, you never apologize for a win, right? It's hard to win in this league in the NFL, even if it does come on an untimed down on a 45-yard field goal. But that game did not come without its warts. 11 penalties for the Colts. To put that into perspective, the Colts season high in penalties last year, 10. So they got to clean that up. The Colts also were just 2 for 6 inside the red zone against Denver. This comes after they were 3 for 6 in the red zone against the Dolphins. So you talk about those areas, Jack. Any other areas that need to be focused on to get a division win in week 3?
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind, because I'm an offensive guy, is we need to score touchdowns in the red zone, right?
Easier said than done.
Yeah,
right?
It's very tough to do, and again, Shane is an offensive mastermind. I hope the fans appreciate what we have because he truly is. Trust me, and he's going to continue to find ways to scheme up, the opponent and get us, some touchdowns there down in the red zone and then running the ball in the red zone's huge. Like, that's the easiest way to score is give the ball. We're saying, we're giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor too much, but hey, give the ball to Jonathan Taylor more down there and let's see what happens. But, the penalties was obviously concerning and something I think we'll clean up. And that's something, again, that kind of happens early in the season too. I think the first couple games, the penalties can kind of be up and then you kind of find level ground.
No doubt.
As the season goes on. But I don't know. It's really hard to critique. I know defense feels like they could have played better, right? But they started out, I don't want to say bad, but they didn't start out the way they wanted to, and then they gave up that touchdown, the first drive, the Broncos' first drive of the second half, and then it was pretty clean after that, right? I mean,
fourth quarter was awesome.
They played lights out, and so there's things to clean up there. The run, the defensive run game is always, you got to stop the run. That's always been a thing in football. So there's always things to clean up, and coming out, and it's way more enjoyable to say, hey, we got things to clean up coming out of a win versus coming out of a loss, and it's the sky's falling, we got all this stuff to fix. So we have enough veteran leaders that they're going to be like, hey guys, great win, let's get back to work on Wednesday and let's figure this thing out and correct the things we need to correct.
Well, the defense, like you said, it wasn't as dominant as it was the week before against Miami, but they were put into some bad spots. I mean, twice you had the turnover on downs by the offense at the 50-yard line. I think the average starting field position for Denver for the game was right around their 40, the minus 40-yard line. So it wasn't all easy for the Colts defense in this game.
And can you believe, sorry to cut you off, they threw a bubble screen at Kenny Moore.
Your guy.
And then Kenny, what did Kenny do?
And he just destroyed it.
He just destroyed it.
Your guy.
You know who doesn't watch this podcast or listen is the Broncos.
Sean Payton, obviously.
Obviously. Like, I saw it, I was like,
Sean.Payton@broncos.com.
Like, Kenny Moore blows up another bubble screen. I'm like, well, there it is. Like, Evan Ingram, I think it was Evan Ingram.
If
was
you've
out
learned
there.
nothing.
Yeah, he was trying to, I was like, been there, can't block him. Impossible. Kenny Moore, man.
Yeah, just ripping through it, you know, like he's Robert Mathis on the outside of the numbers.
Sorry
man.
to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was going to ask you, I mean, 2 big losses in this past game for the Colts on defense. Charvarius Ward and the concussion protocol. Don't know where he is as of right now, and as we tape this here early in the week going into the Titans game. And then no Leatu Latu. Did you feel their absences?
Yeah, I think those are 2 of our top defensive players, in my opinion, and you definitely feel that, you know, and from the pass rush with Latu and getting after Bo Nix, who's a guy who can move around, and he made plays off, you know, we call it scramble drill when they get out of the pocket and receivers kind of go rogue, and there's rules to what they're doing, but, you know, they hit a couple explosive plays with that, and yeah, and you don't have your top corner, like you're gonna feel that, right? You're gonna feel that, so. Let's get those guys back and healthy, and it's really going to help.
Yeah. All right, week 3 coming up here. First road game for the Colts. First division game inside the AFC South. The Titans come in 0-2. They just lost 33-19 to the Los Angeles Rams. So you know they're going to be smarting a little bit, starving for a win. Cam Ward, rookie quarterback, obviously is very talented. Yeah. You're seeing that on film. You know, he's got a lot of things that he can do with the football. He's got a lot of spurts here and there, so you got to be dangerous for him. But I want to talk about the intensity for an AFC South game. Seems like these 2 teams always play each other very well. I think the last 8 matchups, if memory serves, have come down to the wire. Have all been decided by at least single digits. Wow. So you know these 2 teams know each other very well. But that's what I'm getting at: is the focus and the intensity heightened for a division game because it's, you know, it counts as double, you win, they lose, that kind of thing? Or is that just a cliche within the locker room?
No, it is. I guarantee the team meeting, you know, on Wednesday morning that, you know, I assume that's a schedule, you know, similar schedule to what we always did, but that's going to be the first thing Shane says. Division game, man. It, like you said, Matt, it counts for double. And it's something about playing a team twice in a year that you get the familiarity and you know you're playing them every year, twice a year. And you just know who you're going against, right? And getting that feel and going down to Nashville early in the year, it's going to be hot. Yeah. And, you know, I remember we went down there and I can't remember the year. They all mushed together. But it was very hot, and they were doing the fire before. Do you remember this?
That was 2019.
It caught on fire. Yeah. Remember the field caught on fire?
The fireworks.
It was that hot. Yeah. It was that hot. So you got to get your mind right for that, right? And you know, is it a Central Time noon kickoff? So yeah, it's gonna be hot. Yep. So getting your mind right for that, and putting in that extra work. You know, maybe it's a little extra conditioning, a little extra hydration going into the week. Yeah. But like you said, division games, they count as double, man. It's a little more, you know, preparation that goes into it. It's a little more physicality. It's just because you know each other and you don't like each other. So it's going to be a tough challenge, no matter, you know, who the team, you know, it's one of those things like a rivalry game. You know, it doesn't matter what the records are, right? It's going to be a tough challenge because you know each other so well, and both teams know how much it means.
Does the rivalry does it spawn just because you're going up against each other twice a year?
Yeah.
And I mean, they have a good nucleus and a good core. Obviously, the Colts do as well. You were a part of that before you retired. Is that just because you're just tired of seeing each other?
You're tired of seeing each other, and just there's a little extra in there.
Is there more blank talking? You know, some more grabbing and pulling, and
that always comes out, right? That always comes out. But they, it's just something about these AFC South games that I just can't stand the Titans, you know? Or any of them really. But this week's about the Titans, and it's just something about playing down there that, you know, always got me a little more fired up. Yeah. You know, I started my career.
I was gonna say, did that start because?
A little bit there. But it's so yeah, it's gonna be a fun challenge, and going against, you know, Cam Ward and And the way he can move around, it's going to be a big challenge for our D-line and trying to keep him in the pocket. So I'm really excited for the game.
You didn't talk a lot of you know what I mean?
No.
You didn't, did you ever get after it with anybody?
I tried not to. I really did. But, the competitor comes out.
Yeah.
It was never, much. A little something here and there. But I always had fun playing. I really did. I always had a smile. I
bet that would drive me crazy.
I loved
Andrew Luck. Yeah, just stop, man.
I loved football, man. I really did. And it was so much fun to just be out there. Like you said, it was recess with your buddies, man. We're just playing football. And you put in all this hard work to get to the point of playing on Sundays. Like, let's just go have fun and enjoy it. And
but come on now. I mean, if somebody's going to mix it up with you.
Yeah, I got to defend my guys.
You got to get involved, don't you?
Yeah, I got to defend my guys.
That was my motto, and I never played in the NFL. But if someone started something, I was never going to start anything.
No.
But if you start it, I'll finish it.
Yeah,
I'll get involved.
You got to defend your guys, right? Like that's part of being connected. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Being connected, being a team.
I like it.
I don't think anybody's going to be messing with it. We got Quentin out there.
Yeah, there's some enforcers.
Some enforcers. No one's going to mess with Big Grove, right?
Yeah.
So we got a good lineup as far as that goes.
Yeah, we got some guys that got your back out there. I like it. All right, that's a look at Tennessee. We close out the show as we always do. If you're new to this, we close out the podcast with this little fun segment here. We call it You Don't Know Jack. You don't know Jack Doyle the way that we're going to know him here. We'll pop the helmet off, get to know Jack on a more personal level here on this podcast. So this question is, Jack, you're a dad. What's your favorite thing to do with your kiddos? What are your kids into? Tell us some hobbies, sports, interests, and things like that.
Yeah. So we have, I have 3 kids. They'll be excited because they asked if I'd mention them.
Oh well,
here's my opportunity. Perfect. So I got Ronan, who's
you should always go way out of your way to mention.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. Should I? Yeah. Well, okay, here we go.
That's the dad duty.
That's a dad duty. So I got we got a 9-year-old Ronan, 6-year-old Henry, and then little Leona who's 2. But they're into the youth sports right now. The older 2 I'm speaking of, and so that's a ton of fun and fills our weekends, and I'm really enjoying that. But they're interested in, anything and everything. It seems like it changes every week. But, our favorite, family time, what's our favorite family time thing to do? We're big movie nights on the weekend. That's a big one. I'm trying to think of what
a little bit.
What we watch. We go back, We've been through all the, the 90s. We've done the Sandlot, Rookie of the Year, we've done them all.
Big League.
All the Mighty Ducks,
Giants.
Little Big League, Little Giants. We've done them all.
We could do a whole podcast on 90s kid movies.
I've just, I've re-upped. I've just rewatched them all, But what we watched Here Comes the Boom.
Yeah.
Have you seen it with Kevin James?
Yeah.
It was solid.
Yeah.
Solid. But that was our last Friday. So
okay.
I'll keep you posted on what we're gonna.
I'm sorry, but The Sandlot is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, I could watch.
I don't care if it's meant for 12-year-olds or not.
No, and you can't not watch it around the 4th of July.
100%.
I think we watched it
100%.
a week straight. Around the 4th.
Did you grow up like that though? I mean, sort of like running around with all your neighborhood kids.
Yeah, riding our bikes to each other's houses. It was the best.
I don't know if I should say this or admit this, but there was a lot of times where I would leave the house at 9 a.m. in the summer, and not come back until 7. My mom had no idea where the heck I was.
Yeah, no, there's no tracking device. There's no cell phones.
I'm sorry,
but
Mom, I was safe. I promise.
Yeah,
I made good choices.
I lived the same life, man. I had a great group of buddies who we could all ride our bikes to each other's houses, and it was the same thing. Gone all day, man, and it was the best. And I hope the same for my kids.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, you're a good man, and you're a good husband, and a good dad right there. That's Jack Doyle. That's You Don't Know Jack. But we're going to find out what this team is made of in Week 3, going on the road for the first time. Colts trying to improve to 3-0, get a win inside the division, man. All the best, Jack. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next week, recapping the Titans.
Yeah.
Jack Doyle right there. I'm Matt Taylor. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next week on the Colts Podcast channel.